Hello and welcome to my channel, Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is August the 31st, 2023, the end of another month and an exciting week. A day early, we're doing a slideshow and the September reveal. We have a lot to cover today, but before I get started, I truly want to welcome all of you, whether it's your first time or your 100th time. I forgot to mention last week. Last week was my 100 weekly video. I don't count the ones I put out for special purposes, but for 100 weeks, I've been coming to you with a regular podcast. And it was also, by the time that video came out, I had reached 1,000 viewers, subscribers. And somebody commented how cool that was that I reached 1,000 on my 100th video. And as you know, last week I knew it was going to happen by the time my video was released, because I was within 2 people of that happening when I videotape, and I always videotape a day or 2 ahead at least. So mentioning that, I have some big news, because you had until Monday night to comment on that video and use the special word. And I did on Tuesday morning, I did my YouTube random comment picker. I had this prize up for 1,000 plus some other goodies. I just didn't know what those goodies would be at the time, but I put some other goodies in a bag along with this, and I did a draw. And here is a picture of the draw. Barbara M., you know who you are in Alberta. She's a longtime follower of mine. You have won this set of minis that comes from Nitty Gritty, and it's called the Rosy Paintbrush Set. And I believe they are all 20 grams, so you got 100 grams of yarn in a merino nylon base, which is quite, as I recall last week, saying, yes, it is quite soft. So Barbara, in all the time that you've been watching, I don't think you've ever had reason to send me your address, although we correspond a fair bit. So if you could please contact me with your full mailing address. As soon as I hear from you, I will get these along with some other little goodies that I'll include in the package. I'll get these out to you. So congratulations, Barbara. She had a really nice Just Feel Festive wrap in, she did hers in fingering weight, and she was modeling it. So that's the first thing we have to make sure we take care of this week. Next, we have a lot to cover. Next, I want to make a comment about minis and advent calendars. That was what last week's video was about. And I happened, a number of you told me that you have or are going to purchase an advent calendar in yarn this year. And I said, you better hurry because they'll be done real soon. Well, I don't know how I got into it, in a search in Etsy that was showing me advent calendars. And I actually saw there are quite a few yet still open, some to the end of September. The one I mentioned last week to the end of September. There's some to the middle of September. I saw one advent calendar that was from the UK. I saw one from Italy, and I saw one from Greece. So if you want something a little more exotic, you can get something overseas. Or those of you that are overseas, you can get something from somebody that is a little closer to you, and that may save in the shipping costs. But I would say I saw close to a dozen companies still advertising. A Canadian one I remember seeing is smash knits. So if you go on Etsy and just put in yarn advent calendar, you'll see a number that are still available for those of you that are interested in getting something. They are quite a fun treat to get yourself. So today we have a lot of material to cover. I have 2 slideshows to do. First, we have the end of the summer cowl using the Just Feel Festive shawl pattern. And then, of course, we have our August flower cowl. So I knew I couldn't cover it all in one day. I would get really mixed up because I look at the pictures, I make a note, I save the pictures, and then I create a slideshow. And by memory, because I can't see anything, I'm talking about your items. So I actually videotaped 2 days ago the slideshow for the Just Feel Festive shawl. And I'm going to break away now so that I can insert what I taped a couple of days ago, and then I'll be back to talk to you some more. So here are your submissions for the Just Feel Festive shawl. So we're here at the moment to look at a slideshow of all of your entries for the summer cowl. I won't have to say anything about the patterns that you see. We've all done the Just Feel Festive shawl. Some have done it in a wrap version, and some have done it shorter. Some have done it in a scarf version. You all made the pattern your own. So as the pictures come up, I will tell you whose Just Feel Festive shawl it is. If I know, I will tell you where they're from. And in many cases, you told me what yarn you use. So I'll tell you that as well while we're going, just so you have time to look at each picture. So I'm going to share the screen. I thought of totally wiping me out and putting the picture there, but I think I'll split the screen. So the first one we have is from Faith. Faith is in Michigan, and she didn't tell me anything else about the yarn or anything. Next up is a submission from someone who wishes to remain anonymous. And I was told that this particular Just Feel Festive shawl was made with some ice yarns. Next, we have the one from Josephine, who is in North Carolina, and she has 2. The first one is a scarf, and it's using mandala sequins, I think she said. You can certainly see the sparkle there. And the wrap is using Red Heart Roll With It Sparkle. There's a gal that likes sparkle like I do. The next one is from Lillian, and she is in Ontario. And that has a nice ombre effect. I don't know what yarn you used for it. Next, we have a submission from Linda. Linda's in the UK, and I think a number of you will recognize Linda in the picture modeling it. She has her own YouTube channel. It was Linda Simpson, and now it's changed, and honestly, I can't remember the name. Then we have Jane, who is in Ontario. And she said hers was made with Karen cotton cake, and she got to the end of the cake, and that's where she stopped. Then we have Carmen. Carmen is a new viewer to my channel. Carmen is from California, and she made this with Karen Skinny Cakes. And she said that she had this pattern there waiting to be done for like 2 years, and she finally got to it because of this cowl. So I'm glad I inspired somebody to get something done. Next we have Deb from Arizona, and hers is made with a Premier anti-pilling butterfly cake. 2 cakes I think she used. Next we have my other Debbie in Arizona, and she made hers with big twist Christmas colors. Love the sparkle in that, and now you'll have something to wrap around you during the Christmas season. Then we have Donna from Ottawa, and she says there was some, she did make a comment about alpaca in it. I don't know what kind of yarn she used. Then we have a submission from Carrie. Carrie is also in Ontario, and it is a Vitalana tiptoe fingering yarn. Then we have Raylene, who is pretty new to the channel. She's from Australia. I'm always excited when I get something from there. And she simply told me she used a mandala. And next we have Allison, who is in Illinois. And she said she used the Premier DK colors. And then we have Barb M. Barb is in Alberta. And you make a great model, Barb. She used a mini set of, I have to guess they were fingering weight. She did tell me they were quite short, shorter than most mini skeins. And then we have one from Adam in the UK. When Adam sent the picture, he didn't say anything about it, but I'm thinking that maybe in Ravelry you mentioned what yarn you were using. He's making a second one, and he's going to submit it for our August cowl. And finally, we have Renee from Alabama. And she said this is using fingering weight minis, and she did it single. She did not double it. It looks like it turned out wonderful even in the very lightweight, and could be worn at a different time of the year than the one I made with the 2 strands. And I think you've all seen the ones I made. They were in last week's video. Maybe when I go back to my regular video, I will have them to show you, but I don't have them with me here right now. So altogether, we had 15 people participate in this summer cowl, and I'm quite happy about that, because pretty much everybody, maybe 1 or 2, don't participate in my monthly cowl, but most of you do. So I was quite pleased to see that you did both. And this first time I did a longer cowl that we were all doing the same thing. So I'm really happy that there were actually 15 that participated. I would like to know, even from my other viewers, not just the people that participated, would you be interested in me doing another crochet along, all of us doing the same pattern again? I would pick a more difficult pattern next time. And in fact, I have a couple of patterns in mind that have a comparable knit version. So you'd have sort of the same pattern in both crochet and knit, and you could decide which you prefer, and my knitters out there could participate. So I thought of doing one again, maybe in the winter, do a winter and a summer one. Let me know what you think. If you think it's a great idea, I'll do it again. If nobody really cares, I won't worry about running another one. I just wanted to try it. It was suggested to me, so I like to try your suggestions. Now, what you didn't know, which I didn't say, although I hinted at, there is a prize. I mean, if you're going to go to all of the work, some of you had to learn how to use Ravelry. I want to give you a prize. So I've put all 15 names on my wheel. Let's get the wheel up here. Things never want to work the way I would like them to work. Okay, there we go. There's all 50 names on the wheel. You can read them better when there's only 15. And I'm going to click it and we'll find out who's winning, and then I'll show you what you're winning. Jane in Ontario. She's a very lucky person. She wins a lot. I see her online winning other things. So Jane, congratulations. It was worth all the work and struggle for you to get that submission to me. And I decided I've been giving for my monthly cal, I've been giving the gradient cakes, mill-end gradient cakes that I purchased in the cotton acrylic. And not everybody likes to sew with cotton acrylic. It's pretty fine. So what I decided was to go with the same cake that I used for the scarf, although I only used it from the outside to about the middle of the red. There's still some beautiful purple and charcoal. You could start middle or end. So Jane, you've won this cake. I will put it back in the bag it came in because the cake or the bag has the label for the two of them telling you that it's the alpaca gradient and how many yards and all the rest of it. It's a number 3 weight. So that's your prize, Jane. And I already have your address because I believe you won. Oh, and you've bought mystery boxes too. So I will be sending you this. But I know, Jane, that you're not at home right now, if I remember correctly. So you tell me when you get back home, and then I will send this to you in the mail. Congratulations, Jane. And once again, thanks to all of you that participated in the cal and those that commented in the Ravelry stream. It was a first. We will try it again if people are interested. So thanks again to all of you who participated. And now back to the regular program. So I hope you enjoyed seeing those. And as I mentioned in that piece of video, I had not shown you mine. Yes, I showed them to you, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks ago, but some of you would not maybe have caught that video. So very, very quickly, my two versions of the Justville Festive shawl. First, I completed a narrow one, a very narrow, enough to make it into a scarf. And that's the beauty of that pattern. It is very easily customized for whatever you want to make it. And the winner of the cake, this is how the beginning of it looks, Jane, when you start that cake, because she won this exact cake with more. And then I did a wider version like it calls for. And here is my wider version. Using 2 strands of fingering weight like they suggested. And you can see here the 2, actually it shows best here, the 2 strands. I used a white all the way through, and then I used various mini hanks to complete this. And it is quite long. If I wanted it as a wrap, I would probably make it wider than this one. But those are the two that I made. And for those of you that follow in Ravelry, you will see pictures of those in the Ravelry thread. And I really appreciate those of you that do post in Ravelry. And I also really appreciate those of you that post in Instagram and you link it to my Instagram account and you use the hashtag that I've supplied. And some of you, even in your write-up, mention my YouTube channel, and everything you do helps, and I really appreciate it. So before we go on with another slideshow, just to give us a bit of a break here, I have one, actually I have two, but I only have one FO that I want to show you this week. One that I finished during the week. I have a very small family, just an older brother and a younger sister, and only my younger sister had children. She had 3 girls, and the oldest one is married now. And we recently were told that she's expecting a baby in late January. So, of course, Aunt Judy has to get busy and crochet something for that baby. So, I'm going to show you the yarn I used first, and then I'll show you what I made. I made a baby blanket, and I used 2 threads combined. I brought a sample of this latte cake. For those of you that have been with me a while, you know how much I absolutely love latte cake, and especially the white. I went back and bought out what was in my local Michael's store last week, and there is not going to be any more. I wish I could find more latte cake in the white particularly, because, you know, I have another niece coming along that may have a baby one day. But anyway, I used this cake along with this yarn called Summer Nights from Lion Brand. And again, they've gone out of this, and I would love to get another ball in this color. What is the color name of this one? If anybody knows where I can get some, let me know. The color name of this one is Ocean Cove. Ocean Cove, and I'll show you up closely. It's a very, very fine yarn, and I got it in several colors, but I love this color because, and it's sparkle, that's another favorite of mine, but I think you can see a lot of pale green, pale pink, pale blue, and there is a mauve in there. Very, very pale purple. And that's all I have left out of the ball. And I put the 2 together and made a baby blanket. And then I put just a plain white latte as the ruffle or border around it. So here is the blanket. Not fussy. I do like to make baby blankets with the moss stitch, but I hope if I hold it close enough, can you see those colors and the sparkle coming through? See the different shades? Really close. You might, I saw some sparkle there. And I think you can see the 2 threads. I see blue there, I see green. And then I did a very simple ruffle. The ruffle came from Crystal Bag O'Day. So that is my finished object. It's bigger than any baby blanket I've ever made, but I did want it to be really big. And hopefully, I hope she enjoys it. I absolutely think it is the softest thing going. I can't see why a baby wouldn't love to be cuddled up in that. It is a little bit heavy, but unfortunately, getting this Summer Nights in that color again, I have it in bright green, and I have it in something that's orangey or peachy, but I won't ever get this color again. And when I run out of the couple of cakes of this that I have, I'm going to be very upset. I will use it sparingly because I absolutely love this yarn. Don't know what I'll do without it when it's gone. All right, so now we're ready to look at the slideshow of all of the items that were submitted for August. And once again, we had a lot of submissions. 29 people submitted things, but a few submitted several things. 2 things. One person submitted, I don't know, 4 or 5 items. So I'm pretty excited. I'm going to share the screen. So I have to be right in the middle when it splits the screen. And hopefully I can read my better notes this month. So let's get started. The month of August was the gladiolas. So first of all, I have a submission from Michelle, who is in Utah. And Michelle knitted this vanilla beanie. Next, I have a submission from Deb M in Arizona. And she has submitted what is called the Granny Pine Bandana Shawl. It's made with darn good yarn, and you can see the sparkle in there in that worsted weight yarn. It's up very close, so you don't get a good feel for the whole shawl or bandana, but I do see the sparkle. Next, we have a submission from Susan W. Susan W., who lives in New Jersey. I have 2 Susan W's that watch my videos, so we have to keep track of where they're from. So when either of you get in contact with me, please tell me where you are so I can keep straight. Susan W. has made what she calls just a basic hat, and that's all she had to say about it. Now, Tammy, who lives in Canada, she didn't tell me specifically where, has submitted quite a few things. First of all, we have a bag that is from a pattern from Darla. Darla has a YouTube channel. And then she has quite a number of baby items. First, we have this baby sweater. And we have a little girl's dress. And then I have here what looks to be the baby cardigan. And I think I see sparkle in that one. And then we have another little girl or baby dress. And a sweater. And I think I have another dress, if I've got my notes correct. Maybe not, but anyway, if we do, it's showing. Then we have a new person submitting, and that is Ellen from Illinois. And she sent me a picture of this half circle shawl, which is a pattern from Carrie Penny, who is on YouTube. She has a YouTube channel, so she must have followed her tutorial. Then Barbara B., who is from Missouri, has submitted this time a shawl, and the shawl is called On Butterfly's Wings. Don't know whose pattern, but I'm sure you could find it if you're interested. Then we have another shawl from Rosanna, who is in Ontario, maybe 3.5 hours drive from me. And it is called Beautiful Shell Shawl. And it's a pattern by Jonna Martinez, and she's on YouTube. Rosanna makes shawls every month and donates them to a senior's home. Then we have Adam in the UK, and Adam said, this is all I have, and it's a number of squares, and he did squares and or colors for the month. He said these are part of what's going to go in a blanket. He's busy making all the squares for the blanket. I think he was a little embarrassed to only have some squares, but Adam submitted a shawl in the Just Feel Festive you would have seen earlier. And he started, and I'm not sure, here's one more picture from him. He did another shawl, a Just Feel Festive shawl, in this month's colors. I suspect it's not quite complete, and that's why he didn't send the picture, but I'm going to show what he showed on Ravelry. Then we have Linda, and Linda has done this cowl, and she didn't tell me where she's from, and I think this is the one she told me something about. She took a class for the pattern for this cowl, and she ended up adapting it to make it easier. So that's her cowl. Then we have one of our Lisas. This Lisa is from Florida, and she has done a doily. She says this measures 22 inches across, and it's made of number 10 crochet thread. And her inspiration for this doily was from the crochet art tutorial by Maggie Lopez. Sorry if I'm looking down a lot, but I don't want to put my paper up in the screen, and I really do have to look at my notes. Next, we have a submission from someone who prefers to remain anonymous, and he has submitted this shawl called the Adlothia. I'm not sure, Adlothia. I've seen this shawl many, many times and always wanted to do it, but you know how it is. It happens and it doesn't happen. And next, we have Josephine's monthly submission of her 3 granny squares. Josephine, by the way, is from North Carolina. And she said wasn't able to do 3D this month, but still did the best she could to make it look like the flowers. She always does such great squares. And I asked her about the Afghan. It's not going to be an Afghan. She's going to make a bag. And I will elicit from her a promise to show us a picture at the end of the year when she puts these all together. Next, we have Anvita from India. And Anvita has submitted 3 pictures, items. First is a triangular shawl. I think it's my fault I don't have any notes because Anvita always gives me lots of notes. Next, we have the Olympus shawl, and this is a knit. She did a knit along with Reggie from J Hook Crochet, and this is the shawl they all did. And finally, she has done this wrap, and it's called Memories of Mishka. From the look of it, I'm thinking it's crocheted. Next, we have our next Lisa, and this is Lisa from Alberta, and she has submitted a couple. The first is a blanket from, I guess, a pattern by Maudie and Ruth. She said something more about them, but I forget. I have a feeling they're on YouTube. And she has submitted this heart, which is from a How to Crochet a Danish Heart in Learning to Crochet by Rain. Then Hannah, again, she has submitted a couple as well. The first is a knit hat called Woolly Waffle by Stephen West. And those of you that are knitters, I'm sure you're familiar with Stephen West. I thought he only did shawls, so I was surprised to see that. And then she has also knit this gnome called Normanda of Grimblewood, and it's a pattern by Sarah Sachira, I guess. And then Charlene from North Carolina has sent, this is a very, very close-up of what she'd done, and she didn't give me any information, although I did write back and ask, but she didn't respond. It looks to me like a shawl from the pieces that I can see. Then we have a submission from HD. That's what she likes to be called. And I think last month she told me where she's from, and I'm sorry, I don't remember. And she submitted this lovely doily. I'm sure it's probably done with thread also. And then we have a hat, Mary from Ontario, down near my brother. Mary has submitted this hat that is called Hope for the Flowers by Melissa Labar, and a headband which is based on a Clyde earwarmer headband, and I see sparkle in that headband. Continuing on, Magina is from Connecticut, and she has sent this top that she has made lovely pink colors in, and it is of her own design. So very good for you. And then Segal has submitted this shawl. It's called 4 Seasons by Esther Digstra, I guess. Looks like a Dutch name to me. And apparently they have a YouTube channel called All in a Nutshell. Or maybe that's a Ravelry name. But anyway, their name is All in a Nutshell, and the shawl's called 4 Seasons. And then we have Rebecca from Mississippi. And here is a matching hat and scarf set. And she says, the scarf is called Mulberry Scarf from Fiberflux, and Fiberflux is on YouTube. And the hat is a flapper's hat modeled after the 20s, and it is a pattern that she got from Crystal at Bag O' Day. Then we have Lillian, and she also is in Ontario. And the name of the pattern is Moon Rocks from my favorite designer, C.J. Brady. It's what I call a fashion scarf. I don't think I've made that particular pattern. I've made quite a few of them, and I'll show you one in a minute. Then we have Raylene from Australia, and she's made this lapgan, and it's called Sweet Tooth Throw. And again, we have a pattern from Crystal of Bag O' Day. Next submission is from Jackie, who is in Louisiana. And Jackie has made something almost every month and somehow never gets around to emailing me with her submission. But this time she was so proud of herself, she sent two pictures. The first one is a top. Jackie, by the way, has a YouTube channel called Crochet-along. And the first one is a top from inspired by the 80s. She's doing an 80s cowl right now. If you want, go to her channel and find out more about that. And she's also submitted a picture of this tank top, and this is a Tunisian crocheted top, and it's a test she's doing for somebody, and it hasn't even been released yet. Then we have Carrie, who is in Ontario, and if you followed me for a while, you know Carrie likes to do amigurumi. And so she has submitted this bunny, amigurumi bunny, in all of our flower colors. And Carrie particularly loves bunnies. And Renee from Alabama has submitted this dishcloth and said she was sorry that's all she had time for. Don't feel bad, Renee. I know that you also submitted something to the Just Feel Festive summer cal. So, you know, that's pretty good. Then Donna from Ottawa, she is submitting what's called the Ross hat. And it is a pattern by Ross Rochester. I think that's how you find his patterns on Ravelry, but some of you may be familiar with him. He is Smells Like Yarn on YouTube, and I'm sure some of you have come across him on YouTube. And then we have Barbara M. from Alberta, and she has submitted this baby blanket. This is a pattern I wanted to do forever. One day I'm going to get to it. I wish they had it in a shawl. But it is what they're calling the two-color granny. And the pattern is by Olga Poltava. She is on YouTube. This has become a very popular pattern. And people have modified it to other things. So I have a pattern for, I don't know if it's a hat or a headband in that pattern, which I must try. And finally, we come to Debbie P. I almost missed her. Debbie P. And this is, she's in Arizona also. And it's the Call of the Midwife baby blanket. And it's a pattern from Crochet Crowd. We're all familiar with them. They're on YouTube. And if I have missed anybody, I really apologize, because I was getting submissions for the summer cal at the same time as the August cal, and I was getting some in email and some on Ravelry. And I really hope in both of these slideshows that I got everybody. If not, I sincerely apologize. It was a big job keeping them all separate. So that brings us to the end of our August cal, and we had 29 submissions. So I'm very, very pleased with that. We continue to grow. And now is the time to see who wins the monthly gradient cake. And I have the wheel here ready to go. And I have learned my lesson to wait for it to stop. And there we go. And our winner is Debbie P. Congratulations, Debbie in Arizona, who submitted the baby blanket. And I have your address, Debbie, so I will get this out in the mail to you this week, probably. Congratulations, Debbie. Would have been funny if Barbara had won. That would have been 2 in one day. Debbie, congratulations. So now I have yet to show you my make. And I don't know if you remember that ball of yarn or hank of yarn I had that was white with splotches of all the colors. It was in a previous video. Then I caked it up. And when I caked it up, I realized how busy it was. And I have learned something about busy hanks. And here is the finished project. I will put it on the model and bring her in a minute. This is the Be Like a Sunflower wrap, scarf, whatever you want to call it, from CJ Brady. She does a lot of boomerang shawls, I guess she calls them. And in this case, I did one change. I did not, when she gets to a certain point, she decreases. And I said, I'm not sure if I have enough yarn to get all the way to the end. It'll look funny. So I just kept going with the increases as far as I could go. And so I have a flat edge rather than her curved edge. So I will put it on my model here. This one happens to be Hope, my very first model. And there we go. So what I learned was when you have a hank of yarn with as many splotches all over it of different colors, you get a very, very busy finished project. And I have to tell you, it's not my favorite thing. I like tonals, variegated to some extent with little longer changes, but this splotchy look, maybe if the colors had been more similar, you know, all in tones of earth tones, but these were so widely different. I can't say I'm excited about the final look of this particular skein of yarn, but it was a skein from Sinful Soul, I believe. I showed you the wrapper when I first started it. So that is my finished object for August, and I will go and post a picture in Ravelry, and I will post a picture on Instagram. They will probably be posted by the time you see this video, because it's not Thursday right now for me, and I'll probably post them before Thursday. And so where does that bring us? That brings us to, so what's happening for September? Well, September is the aster. I've long known the flower of the month for September. Aster is a fall flower that would be coming out now, and being at my birthday's in September, of course, I've always known it. So I'm going to post a picture right here, fill screen, so you can get your snapshots. Okay, now I had a little bit of difficulty deciding what to do with this picture. There's no way I have yarn that covers all of the colors. By the way, I want to make this comment. I think there are those of you out there that believe that you have to capture every color in the picture, and you don't. One color, two colors, as many colors as you want. Maybe you have a variegated that hits a couple of the colors. But somebody made a comment that made me think that you have to get all of the colors in the picture in your project, and you don't. And I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing this month. As I put the picture beside me again, I'm going to show you that I am choosing this color. And to me, this looks like one of the colors of one of the asters in that picture, or there might even be two with that color. And this is an Expression Fiber Arts. It's a yarn that I forget the name of it, but I will look it up and I will tell you later. Maybe post it in the description box. That's the best for me. I have trouble getting things on the screen. It is an EFA yarn. They don't carry it at the moment. It's one of those ones that goes back and forth. And it is bamboo or lyocell. Anyway, this is what I'm using. One single color. I am quite happy with just doing one solid color from the picture. Don't feel the need to hit every color. It would be too hard, I think, in that picture. Now, I have decided on a pattern, and I will tell you a little bit more about it next week, because it's a pattern from the designer that I am going to feature next week. So that's my plan for September, a one skein project. I have so much happening in September that I need to keep it simple for the next month. So that's what's happening there. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about while we still have time, I'm not as long as I thought I was going to be. I wanted to talk about September a little bit. For those of you that are quite new, you may not have heard that this month, September, starting tomorrow, is my birthday month and my podiversary. I started this channel on my birthday 2 years ago. And my birthday is until the end of the month, the 23rd. So I like to celebrate the whole month just because I don't do giveaways and celebrations for every 100 when I was climbing to 1,000. And the next time I'll do 1,500. When I hit 1,500, I'll do a giveaway. But I think I make up for it in that I do something special every week of September, which includes a giveaway every week. And a giveaway will be based on a comment made in the comment section. And it'll be something different. And on my birthday, there'll be more than one giveaway. I also like to do some special episodes during the month. So I'm going to start off the month. I'm still waiting for a response, which I should have got last weekend, but hopefully I'll get it by this weekend. I am going to next week do a featured designer. And maybe I should hold off on saying who until I'm sure that I have the information I need. If I don't get it from her, I may have to flip weeks, but hopefully I'll hear from her. So we're going to do a featured designer next week, and I'm doing a pattern of the featured designers that I'll tell you I've picked next week. Then I thought one of the weeks I would do a review of another EFA yarn. You know, every so often I review a yarn from EFA. And I had a yarn all picked out because I've used it 2 or 3 times, and I was going to make another project. And in the process of picking a project and the yarn, I ended up picking up a different yarn that I'd never used. I finished a project last week. I can't wait to show you. It is beautiful. And I absolutely love the yarn. And I thought, you know what? I think I might do a review of that yarn instead. So we'll see how that ends up. Another thing, I've often had people ask, and I'll talk about this in a minute, people ask, how do you wear that? You know, when you have a scarf like the one I just showed you for the month, or you have an asymmetrical triangle. So I'm thinking I'm going to do one week where I actually talk about different ways to wear some of these accessories that we are making. I don't know how many of you remember that I was part of a Facebook marketplace in the spring, and I had a half an hour to do a video, and the thing I did was different ways to wear the items that we make. So being that people have asked me, I think what I'm going to do is one episode showing how to wear things like the fashion scarves, how to wear an asymmetrical triangle. There are different ways to wear it, and there are others out there that show these things. And even shawls, there are some different ways to wear shawls. So I'm going to do an episode on that. And then, of course, there'll be my very special birthday episode where there'll be lots and lots of giveaways. And the last of September marks the end of the 3rd quarter for the year. And you know that every quarter I've been showing you my progress on my goals for the year. And I'm happy to say I've made some more progress on a few of my goals. So that'll be the very end of the month. So I almost forgot to tell you about what I am wearing. This is not a new FO. This is something I made many years ago. And it is a pattern. It's an asymmetrical scarf. Some call it shawl. It's a pattern by Rachel Nguyen. I made several of hers, and I have several more I want to make. And it is very, very nice gradient cake of merino cashmere that I bought quite a while ago. And I think it's called something like Dragon's Tooth or Dragon's Tail. See the bottom edge. And I will put a link to the pattern in the description box below. So, oh, I do have one other thing I wanted to show you. I did not show you any yarn acquisitions this week. I thought you needed a bit of a break from that. But I do have one little acquisition that I wanted to show you because I thought it was cute. And then we have come, oops, sorry about that. I actually made an acquisition of a project bag. Isn't that cute? Isn't that adorable? Has a flat bottom. And I believe I got this on Etsy, and it was the only one left. And I believe it came from Germany. We got knitting needles. Too bad we don't have a crochet hook. But I thought it was adorable, so I could hardly pass it up. So that's my acquisition for the week. And that brings us to the end of the week. Work in progress. Yes, I didn't bring it down. I am working on a shawl for my donation box, which I'll have done to show you next week. And I also will be starting this week my cowl that I'm working on with Karen Hooley, and hopefully I'll have that done to show you next week. So until we meet again, happy hooking.